Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Kneon, and as we get closer and closer to the Rise of Skywalker, fans are wondering if questions raised during The Last Jedi, questions raised during The Force Awakens will actually be answered in this movie, and the short answer seems to be no. No, we're not going to answer your questions, fans. Quit asking about those pesky things like where Snoke came from and how Maz Kanata got a hold of Luke Skywalker's lightsaber, and all of these other questions. They don't matter. It's not important. We've got space horses on a spaceship. That's all you need to know, and Palpatine is coming back somehow, even if it doesn't make sense. There you go. So that's my takeaway anyway. Before we get into the video, I want to give a hat tip to Mr. Aaron Sparrow, who is a friend of the channel, and he actually put this out there yesterday that Naomi Ackie, who is playing Jannah, is that the new character? Jannah, is going to tell you that your questions will not be answered by the end of this movie. Oh boy. So I think there are going to be many discussions had in the fandom about this movie for years to come. Of course, there will be. Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants here on Clownfish TV. We're at about 75,000 subs, almost at 75,000. Thank you for your support. It allows us to keep making content, keep talking about the things that we love, things we don't love, and, you know, kind of our opinion on the state of pop culture here in 2019. All right, coming from Metro. There are actually a couple different versions of this. One is Metro, one is from IGN. We'll go with the Metro version. Star Wars Naomi Ackie warns the Rise of Skywalker ending will leave fans with questions. Star Wars newcomer Naomi Ackie has revealed that the Rise of Skywalker ending will leave fans with questions. We're not prepared in the slightest. Yeah, I think people are used to non-answers with this trilogy. That's one of the biggest disappointments with The Last Jedi, was that it didn't answer anything, to the satisfaction of a lot of Star Wars fans. The actress Jannah, who spoke to Metro at the BIFA nominations announcement, described what the ending will feel like to fans. Buckle in, guys. I think there are moments in this that really encapsulate what that whole saga has been about, she says. Moments, fleeting moments. And there are some people that leave it that might feel like they've got everything they wanted, but there might still be more questions. And that's the whole point. The story continues. If this is just, look, I'm just saying, if this is the last episode of the Skywalker saga again, the last one again, because we already had the last one 30 some years ago, but if this is the last episode again, the last thing you want to do is raise a whole bunch of questions and then not answer them. You know, that's kind of, and also introduce a bunch of new characters, not throwing shade at Naomi Ackie, but we've got all these other characters that we still don't understand where they're coming from, what their deal is, what their story is. Some of them don't even have developed personalities. A lot of them got sidelined in the last movie to make room for new characters. Now we've got a new droid, we've got this Jannah character, we've got, you know, a bunch of new characters being shoved into this movie, whereas you know, Finn and Poe and Rey are still sort of blank slates for the most part. So it's going to be a very busy movie. I think it's going to be a very busy movie, and I do not think it's going to make everybody happy. Naomi, who previously told us she sought advice from co-star Kelly Marie Tran, continued, I will feel like it's been a long time coming, and I'll feel like a conclusion to what has been a brilliant saga. So basically, we're going to cry a lot. While Naomi's been focusing on the story continuing, director J.J. Abrams is all in on wrapping the story up, previously saying this is about bringing this to a close in a way that is emotional and meaningful, and also satisfying in terms of actually answering as many questions as possible. Yeah, well, there are a lot of questions that were not answered about the first two movies, and now we're going to ask more questions. We're going to ask more questions. This movie is not going to answer them. I think they're going to sidestep stuff like they did with The Last Jedi, or give non-answers, and just kind of ignore it and hope that fans forgot about a lot of it. Hope that people forgot, and they'll just plow ahead with horses on a spaceship. So if years from now someone's watching these movies, all 9 of them, they're watching a story that is cohesive as possible. It is not possible after episode 8. He told EW, while there were many things that were planned for and discussed, George Lucas himself said when he created this, he saw it as 3-act plays. Yes, And his third act, you threw it in the garbage, didn't you, Disney? You threw it out. You tossed it out. And then he said later that he was wrong. He thought that it was a 3-act play, and he's like, nah, 6 episodes are enough. I can tell my story in 6 episodes. And he did give you a third act, though, and you tossed it in the trash. That doesn't mean there isn't discovery. That doesn't mean there aren't things that come up that make you realize, oh, here's an opportunity. So Disney is going to look at this and be like, oh, look, there's a plot hole that we didn't answer. We can make a comic book series out of that. We can make a novel out of that. We can do a spin-off show on Disney Plus all about this one gaping plot hole, and then tell the fans that we meant to do that. And we can make more money. Supposedly, theoretically, we can make more money. There's no hope for us leaving the cinema dry-eyed, as the final trailer for the flick left us highly emotional. I felt nothing. But I am a cold bastard. But I felt nothing. Giving us glimpses of Carrie Fisher's final appearances as very CGI'd, heavily CGI'd Princess Leia. Daisy Ridley's Rey is teaming back up with John Boyega's Finn, who had to fight for screen time. He had to fight for screen time because apparently they were going to sideline Finn again in this movie. Kelly Marie Tran's Rose, who is back. She has not been obliterated. They took her off the merchandise, but she is coming back in Oscar Isaac's Poe Dameron, with the battle between light and dark continuing between the Resistance and the First Order, the Rebels and the Stormtroopers and the Empire again and again and again. This version from IGN, Ackie plays a skillful warrior in the upcoming Star Wars installment, and recently anticipated fan reaction toward the Episode 9 storyline, as she admitted to Metro that audiences might be left with more questions when the saga draws to a close later this year. This is damage control. This is preemptive damage control. Now, she's probably kind of off on her own, saying her own thing. I don't think her opinions are necessarily those of Lucasfilm, but it does sound to me like they're trying to temper expectations already, that this movie is not going to answer all the questions that people had about 7 and 8. They're not going to answer the questions. They might not even fully answer how Palpatine comes back, short of a giant monologue, which I've heard 2 versions. I've heard one is he's going to monologue at Rey about exactly how he came back, and then the other version is he's just going to come back and you need to accept that he's back. Neither one are a very good way of dealing with it, because clearly he was not intended to be the big bad of this trilogy. And again, not trying to throw shade at Ackie, but we don't need more characters introduced at the 11th hour. We really don't. They don't know what to do with the characters they have, and just stuffing Star Wars full of more characters will not necessarily make the movies any better, And I just am like, it's too late in the game to be introducing a bunch of new characters into the franchise. But here, speaking of the questions a lot of people have about the Rise of Skywalker, the writing credits raise some questions about the story. And I think we might have talked about this a little bit, but former director, terminated, got gone director Colin Trevorrow and his writing partner Derek Connolly were attached to finish the new trilogy of the movies, but they ended up parting ways. That's a nice way of saying Kathleen Kennedy shit-canned him. So Abrams and the guy from Justice League stepped in. But now the WGA is crediting the screenplay for The Rise of Skywalker to Chris Terrio, J.J. Abrams, and also story by Derek Connolly and Colin Trevorrow. So it sounds to me like this is going to be Frankenfilm. This might be that they took pieces of Colin Trevorrow's vision for the movie, and then they added to it, or they altered it to make it fit with what had happened in The Last Jedi, or what J.J. Abrams wanted to do. But I'm getting the vibe that there are going to be way too many cooks in the kitchen, and then we're hearing rumors. Again, these are just rumors. We don't know for sure that they're still furiously editing this thing, that George Lucas was not happy with the initial cut, that there's like a George Lucas version and a Kathleen Kennedy version. Those are just rumors. Other people have said that that's not the case, but they are trying to make the best movie that they possibly can make. Whatever the deal is, I'm getting a really bad vibe off of this movie, because they are way late in showing us anything. The other two movies, they were showing us all kinds of stuff all throughout the process. We had action figures of new characters. We had storybooks that had the whole storyline laid out. And we're not seeing that with this film. We're seeing, something that I think is still being prepared You know, and that's very worrisome, considering that we're like a month out from this film dropping, and they don't seem to know exactly which movie is going to hit theaters. Now, the only other time this has happened that I'm aware of was the original Star Wars, which was basically saved in the editing room by George Lucas's then wife. But I digress. You know, they've gotten a lot smarter since then, but none of the other movies have had this level of secrecy and, you know, frankly, the rumor mill swirling around it that things are in trouble, because Disney knows if The Rise of Skywalker does not perform, that it's game over for Star Wars and movie theaters. You know, Star Wars at that point, for the foreseeable future, is tabled, and it goes to streaming. It goes to direct to TV. So there's a lot riding on this. There's a lot riding on it. And I just, you know, Geeky and I talk about this all the time. We are completely floored that they didn't just sit down and write out an outline for 7, 8, and 9 when they first decided they were going to do this trilogy. I mean, that's just like a duh. I mean, multi-billion-dollar franchise, and you can't even do the bare minimum. And this is what we wind up with. A lot of just winging it. They're winging it. They're winging it with a multi-billion-dollar franchise, and you know, some would argue that they've run it into the ground. I don't know. So we'll see what happens with Rise of Skywalker. I don't have a lot of faith in this. This, again, when you've got your stars coming out and being like, yeah, there are going to be a whole bunch of questions at the end of it. Not good. Not good. So we're going to wrap this one up. Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants here on Clownfish TV. This has been Kneon. We'll talk later. Thinking about printing your own comic books, graphic novel, or manga? We recommend our friends over at PrintNinja. We've been using PrintNinja as long as they've been printing comics, and both the quality and price is excellent. Mention Clownfish TV and get an additional 5% overrun of your book order quantity printed for free. For free! That's free books, people. Just mention this offer on the phone or in the additional information box on the quote request form. That's printninja.com, or click on the link in the description below. Hey guys, thanks for watching Clownfish TV. Please consider supporting the channel. Go to clownfishsupport.com. That's clownfishsupport.com. And if you want to join our community, go to clownfishtalk.com. That's clownfishtalk.com. Please subscribe, ring the bell for notifications. We will talk to you next time.